Hey, what's going on, guys? So, some time ago, a person asked a question on my channel, and this particular question has been asked from time and time again in different versions, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and read the question from Rodney Williams. He basically asked, is it legal for the prosecution to hold so-called witness names? How can they do that under the assumption that R. Kelly is going to contact the victims? I thought the prosecution had to turn over all discovery. So that's the question. So this question has been asked in different various forms, probably I want to say 6 or 7 months, and I've actually made a second video on this very topic. I believe this question falls within the realm of the Sixth Amendment confrontation clause, right? So I've made a second video that goes into more detail about the Sixth Amendment confrontation clause, and it looks at the the right itself as well as some limitations, and it also goes into some exceptions. So I'm going to post that video at the end of this video. And the reason I have two videos is because I wanted a video on the confrontation clause that could stand on its own. And at the same time, I wanted to address this question that keeps being asked over and over and over. And I wanted to make sure that I did my best to kind of put an end to this question because the question keeps popping up. I've given answers. I feel as though I've given better or more enhanced versions of the answer each and every time. But now I think it's finally time to answer the questions for the R. Kelly supporters and help them understand why we have this situation where the prosecutors are holding names of the alleged victims at the very last minute, right? So I don't think that's right. I do think it's in the violation of the Sixth Amendment confrontation clause. However, they may get away with this, and to understand why they may get away with this, you have to go and watch the second video, which is going to be posted to the end of this video, right? So the one thing I will say in this video is that R. Kelly is in a world of trouble. Everybody knows this. This is no new news. Um, if you've been following the trial by now, you know the injustices that have been happening. And it seems like they keep finding ways to get around the Constitution. They keep finding ways to bend the rules. And in my mind, this is no doubt yet another exception, right? So he's in a world of trouble. And one of the things I like to point out to people is that court is just a game, in my opinion. Yeah, sometimes the court does vindicate the innocent and it protects the weak. Sometimes it does that, but a lot of times it doesn't. Sometimes the court puts innocent people in jail, and sometimes the court system victimizes the weak, and it further victimizes the victims, right? So from that perspective, because the court can have that potential outcome, in my mind, it's just a game. That's all it is. So it doesn't matter if R. Kelly is innocent, and it doesn't matter if he's guilty. Now I know some people may think this sound crazy, but I'm just going to point out to you that again, and I've said this millions of times, Jesus was innocent and they still crucified him, right? Jesus went before the court and they wanted his blood. And because they wanted his blood, they let a murderer go free so that they can get the chance to crucify Jesus. So it's a game, people. That's all it is. It's a game. And one analogy I guess I could use, I'm kind of winging this, is that take basketball for example. You can be the humblest person, you can be innocent, you can be of good heart and good sound mind, and you can be God's own creature, and at the end of the day, if you can't play basketball, then you're going to lose, and the people who are going to win are the people who can play basketball better than you, and they know the rules of the game. They know not to foul, they know not to travel, so on and so forth. They're going to win, right? If you have no experience playing basketball, and the other person has better experience, and they've been training for the game, they've been playing the game for ages, they're going to win. They're absolutely going to win, right? So in this situation, R. Kelly has someone to play on his behalf. He has his lawyers who's going to play the game on his behalf. But at the end of the day, it's going to boil down to who has the better players, and that's it. That's the way I see this. And I'm sorry if I offend people, and I hope I don't offend people, but at the end of the day, that's who's going to win. The person who plays the game better, and the person who cannot get violations, who cannot get cited for violating the rules, right? So that's kind of what we have here. And I provided that context to say this. To me, it just seems like the prosecution is able to get around all the rules. They're not getting hit with violations. And I think this keeping the witness away from R. Kelly is yet another rule that they've gotten around, and they're not being called on it. And to understand why they're not being called on it, and to understand how they actually got around this rule, you have to go and watch the second video, which is going to be posted at the end of this one. You'll see that there are some exceptions to the confrontation clause. And again, I explained what the confrontation clause is, and the exceptions to it, as well as the importance of the confrontation clause. So they've gotten around it. And when you watch the video, you'll see how they've gotten around it. And at the end of the day, I think R. Kelly could potentially appeal this, but if he appeals this, there's two possible reasons why he wouldn't want to appeal this. Number one, it's just going to eat up time. It's going to eat up time and resources that could be used to focus on other things. And then number two, even if he does appeal it, I think it's going to be null and void, because when the trial actually start, I think they're going to give him access to the witnesses at the last minute. And from that perspective, they wouldn't be violating the confrontation clause. So I give more details on why that's not a violation to the confrontation clause in the second video. You need to check that out to understand what I'm talking about. But uh, to make a long, or to get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. But to make a long story dull, they're supposed to allow R. Kelly to know who the witnesses are, to be able to confront the witnesses early in the trial, right? And there's lots of ways you can confront them. And they're supposed to give him access to the witnesses, but they're not doing this. And what they're, in my opinion, what they're doing is that they're looking for ways to frustrate the defense, to basically throw the defense off their game. If I can make you upset, if I can mess with your psyche, then I can win, because you're going to be so messed up, so confused over the stuff that I've done to you in the game, that you're not going to be able to concentrate on the game itself. So that's what I think is happening here. They're really just playing games. I believe they are going to release the witnesses. They're not doing it now because they want him to sweat, and they want him to waste his time thinking about who the actual witnesses are, and they want him to form theories, waste his time trying to form theories on who the witnesses could be, instead of spending that time building up a defense against a specific witness, right? So that's my opinion. And to really understand this video, you really should check out the second video, where I go into greater detail. But the end, or the overall gist of this video, is that I think they I'm not going to say they have a right to do what they're doing, but I think they're going to get away with it because they're just simply bending the rules, and the the judge is not calling them on it. And the reason the judge is not calling them on it because there are some exceptions to the confrontation clause. So that's it for this video. Check out the second video, and leave your please like this video and share it, and leave your questions and comments and concerns below. Thanks for watching.